I tell my son and others about that really was an example of the loneliness of leadership. It was one afternoon, we were, I believe, 6-0, and I was a junior quarterback, and we were ranked high in the country. And I was ranked very high in total offense in the country, Division III, and they were kind of making a big deal out of that in the local paper and the press and so forth. And one afternoon, it was middle of the week, I can remember it like it was yesterday. We were doing a 7-on-7 pass skelly, and I, in disgust, I think there was a route that was misread or a poor route that was run, and I believe, probably thinking I was a little better than I was, because maybe I was reading a couple clippings, I'm not sure, I threw the ball in disgust, dumped it down on the ground away, you know, and I think I showed a kind of a negative form of leadership emotion, possibly because the play broke down, and to my shock, Coach Storzer stopped practice with 75 or 80 players. He blew the whistle and he instructed me to leave the field and kick me off the field. And I was the captain, and you know, I was supposedly the leader of the offense and one of the leaders of the team. And I can still remember the heartfelt loneliness that I had as a leader. And I ran, at that moment, I ran from Ingalls Field all the way down to the field house, which had just opened. And I've never been so devastated individually as far as letting other people down and really probably not accepting the risk of being a leader, because I thought that what I did was uncalled for, and it certainly affected others around me that I cared about a lot. Later that evening, I went back to our fraternity house, and I couldn't even go to dinner. I was so down, and I was moping around, and guys were coming in, and you know, wondering how I was, and you know, and what happened was about 7:30, Coach Storzer called our fraternity house, and that's back when there was just one phone in the frat, and the guys downstairs yelled, "Hey, Coach Storzer's on the phone," and I sprint as fast as I could. I ran down the stairs and got in that little cubby hole, and Coach Storzer said, "Hey, Jeff, I'm going to pick you up in 5 minutes. Be out in front. We're going to go get an ice cream." Coach Storzer drove up, and I was right on the steps waiting for him, and I got in, and I apologized for what I did. And he said, "You know, Jeff, we have a championship football team with great people on this field, and we're making a run at the championship. I needed something to ignite this practice. We were having a terrible practice, and we're getting ready for a very difficult opponent. We were playing Lawrence, which is our arch rival." And he said, "I needed something to ignite that practice. And when I had to do what I did for you, you were like the guinea pig. You know, many times I wouldn't have probably overreacted like that. But when you ran from Ingalls Field down to the field house, I looked at our team, and you could have heard a pin drop. Nobody moved. They watched you run from there all the way to the field house. And when you got inside the field house, I blew the whistle, and we started practice. It ignited everyone, because they knew that, hey, we got to get to work. If our coach is going to kick off our captain and our quarterback, he must mean that we're underachieving." So he said, "We had one of the better practices without you, which we needed on the field, but it ignited the practice." And at that time, I understood what I've preached all these years about the loneliness of being a leader and accepting that risk of being a leader. And Coach Storzer lives with me almost every day. But I loved my Ripon College experience, and I wouldn't have traded it for anything.